Welcome to Remotely Interested, the podcast where we talk remote working, work life in general, and top tips to successfully work from anywhere. Today we'll hear from DUVAL. Originally from France, having lived several years in England and now living in Spain, Sol has 2 decades of experience as a trilingual events and training organiser and project manager. Since 2019, Sol has shifted her focus to the charity sector, applying her extensive organisational expertise to significantly impact people's lives positively. Sol, welcome to the Remotely Interested podcast.
Oh, hi. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Sol.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I know you're busy. I know you've got plenty to be doing. So thank you for taking the time out to speak to me today. So to start off, please, Sol, could you tell me about your job, the kind of work that you do, and when you first started working remotely?
Yeah, so I started in 2020, surprise, in March, like a lot of people. I was employed at the time, so just because I was working a bit far from my home, and then COVID happened, decided to just work from home. And when we were able to go back to the office, I decided, no, actually, no, I do prefer working from home. Um, so that started like that. And then when I moved to Spain, I became self-employed, opened my own business of a virtual assistant. That was in July 2024. Just, of course, since then, I've been working remotely, and I do not regret it so far. So,
No. That's a familiar tale, isn't it? There's many people who are in the same boat and had the same experience in 2020,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah. It is something I wanted to do anyway. So I think for me, it was like a sign to just, like, okay, let's grab this opportunity. Let's do it first by working only remotely. And then when I moved to Spain, it was also something I wanted to do for a long time, to have my own business. And for me, the way to be able to still work with what was my employer before was to be to work as self-employed. So again, it was another sign of like, okay, let's grab this opportunity again,
Yeah.
because those things were in the back of my mind for a long time. So
Okay.
yeah.
So if I've understood correctly, then before you were working for your employer as an assistant in a team, is that right?
Yeah, I was an event coordinator. So part of my the services that I offer are project management and event organization. Those are the main two services that I offer.
Okay. And before you were working 100% in person in the office?
One day from home. I was doing one day from home with that employer, purely because of the distance. Travel distance every day to go to the office was like an hour and a half in the morning, an hour and a half in the evening, 3 hours
Right.
in your day gone for no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that
So
is hard.
yeah, but it
Okay.
was just that one day, and even that I had to negotiate it at the time because it wasn't something normal to do.
Mm.
And now we're like, yeah, of course you're gonna work from home if you live that far.
Yeah. Yeah, so much has changed. So that's really nice
Yeah.
then. That one day a week gave you the opportunity to almost train in
Yes.
that context, get that experience and prove to
Yes.
your employer that it actually was possible.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good way to be able to go into it slowly and just make sure to adapt my work also to that type of environment.
Yes. Okay, anybody listening might be thinking like me, events, how on earth can you work in events remotely? How does that work?
Well, I mean, firstly, most of the events that I now organize are online. It's mainly training. Again, since COVID, everything changed so much in that world, and all the trainings I was organizing were face to face before. Now they've moved to online platform. And then when it comes even to face events, there's not a lot to be done face to face until the day of the event. Everything is has to be done, on a computer behind a screen, and it doesn't matter where you are. You don't need to be in the office. You don't need to be. I mean, you need to go and see the venue and things like this. But like I do it for some of my clients, and I go and I see the venue, and then I start. I work on the organization of the event before the event
Yes.
being remotely.
I've had that experience myself. My first job out of university was with an events team. And most of the time we were in the office, of course. It's 20 years ago. But yeah, you're not on site until the event has begun.
No,
So, of
exactly.
course,
Yeah.
that work can therefore be achieved remotely in the build-up, in the preparation stage.
Yeah, exactly.
So does that mean now then that many, if not most of those events are now virtual? Have I understood correctly?
Most of them are virtual. There is an appetite for face-to-face event, which is back, I find, in the last maybe 2, 3 years, because at first there was like the novelty of
Yeah.
online events. Oh, it's great. We can do it anytime, at any day, with anyone, and it works. But there's a lot to say about this. But in terms of engagement, sometimes the face-to-face cannot be beaten. So it's still mostly remote event that I organize, online event that I organize. Most of my clients I tend to have like one major event a year, which is face-to-face, which is kind of used as an opportunity really for networking and more than an event. It's been also redefined, the event itself now when it's face to face. It's more like, oh, we are together in a room for the
Yeah.
first time in a year, sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's more about networking, while the online event will be more about learning, developing, training, depending on what the business is. And yeah, it changed a bit.
That's really interesting. So the nature of the event itself is different dependent on whether it's in person or remote. And so what can be achieved during those periods is actually slightly different because one context lends itself more to another type of interaction.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think also I've seen a change in terms of the content of the online event today compared to 5 years ago is different. So 5 years ago, because it was forced upon us, we hadn't like a lot of people didn't feel comfortable, I think, with that format. So in a lot of those kind of events, and I'm thinking especially about training event, we had, say, the first 20 minutes, which were about like knowing each other, having like a fun activity to start. All of that was put in place. This is not something I see as much today because now it's like, let's go straight to the point. It's about learning and we're going to do that. And when we want to do the fun bit, we'll do it when we are face to face in a room together.
Mm,
So it shifted a bit in that sense, I think.
mm. Yeah, when we're interacting online, there's more of an urgency to not waste anybody's time, isn't it? Because I think
Yes.
maybe not everybody feels super comfortable online, so we know we're there for a shared purpose. Let's get to the point quickly so that we can
Yeah,
then
yeah,
put into
yeah,
practice the good
exactly.
advice, obviously, that you get during those events. But yeah, no, I can
Yeah,
understand
no,
that.
exactly. Yeah, I think the what they call the force fun has been slightly put aside because it feels a lot less forced when it's face to face than when it's online. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's all.
probably because it's easier to be yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And 2020 was the year of forced everything, wasn't it? So I think
exactly,
everybody's quite
exactly,
resistant to being
exactly.
obliged, yeah, in that way. Okay.
Mhm.
So I gather then that you're working for a few different clients because you are freelance. Do they sometimes require you to attend on site? Is there still that need?
I've been asked maybe once for like for one of my clients, for example, I had to go in person because we were starting on a new project. So I needed to meet the other person who was part of that project, just to, like first really meet and get to know each other at the start of that project. But that was it. And otherwise, the other clients, the only time I had to go was just for the day of the event that I'm organizing. I haven't been asked otherwise to come in person, or also we need to keep in mind that I'm based in Spain and most of my clients are based in the UK.
Right. Okay.
So that I think maybe also change the dynamic a bit. If I was based in the UK, maybe I would be asked more easily, and maybe I would say also yes more easily, but
Yeah.
being here is a bit different.
Yes, of course. Okay. So you and your clients have adapted then to that
Yeah,
situation. Yeah. And so
yes.
there are events taking place that you've had a really important part in organizing and preparing, but you're not necessarily there on site on the day, but you're overseeing from afar.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. When it's a major event, I will go in person, because that is, yeah, if it's a major event, I will. But as I say, most of the events I organize are online anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't realize there'd been that kind of shift in the events industry. I got
mm,
the impression that post-COVID, almost online had been rejected and people couldn't wait to get back to in person.
I mean, yeah, a lot more can be offered when it's online,
Mm,
and
yeah.
financially, it's such a massive difference between an online and a face-to-face. A lot of my clients are organizations such as like charities. It's for them, being able to offer quality training online
Mm,
against a face-to-face, which will cost 4 or 5 times the price because you have to rent the venue, you have to feed people, you have to pay for travel, for accommodation, you know.
yeah.
It's,
It's such a major consideration. And yeah, especially for charities, that makes sense.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah.
And in terms of audience, I'm sure the scope for those who are able to attend must really grow as well, because
Exactly.
there's no distance, there's no travel distance having to be factored in.
Exactly. Yeah. The attendance is a lot higher.
Yeah, I imagine though, do you get, I don't know, actually that's any event, isn't it? People that sign up and then don't show up. I think that can happen online as well as in person. I
More.
don't know. Do you see a
Exactly.
difference?
Yes, a lot more, a lot more. I think people are more considerate when it's face to face because they know there is an implication behind about, well, the food and all of that.
Yeah.
Or they've booked their train ticket also. So, they've made arrangement at home, for example, because they've got a train ticket book and they know they're gonna be away. When it's online, they don't tend to do that as much, and then they can drop because they have to take their kid to the doctor, or things
Yeah.
like this. So because they're physically there at home, we expect them to step up, especially when it's mothers more than fathers, sadly.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. But it's, yeah, interesting developments in the events world for sure, and affording yourself and others the opportunity to work remotely and be involved in these remote events as well as in-person events. Yeah. Great. And I noted from your site, Sol, that you tend to work on events connected to treatment of trauma. Is that right?
Yes, so that's my specialty. Most of my clients are either charities or non-profit sector, the high majority of them. And my specialty is to support trainers who work in the trauma environment, so deliver training around trauma because it's
Okay.
quite particular, and I really enjoy doing it. So as much as possible, I try to specialize within that sector.
Okay. And is that a speciality that's come out of working remotely, or were you already working in that sector?
No, I mean, yeah, I was working in the last position I had as an employee. was for a charity who was working in that trauma, and I was organizing the training for some practitioners who were helping like women who had some trauma. So that was something I wanted to try and keep doing because I could see that when you are a trainer delivering such a intense topic, the last thing you want is to worry about the how and when and why and what of the delivery of the training itself. I mean, all the bits in the background is not something you want to use your mind for because it's so emotionally intense for them to deliver that training. Their energy needs to be put somewhere else. So as I could see it, and I thought, yeah, I think that's definitely a sector that could be good for me to try and support.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm guessing with your perspective and your experience, you were even more trustworthy. They know that you understand the sector. They know perhaps, like you say, because it's so intense and sensitive, that you're prepared to go the extra mile to make sure that they can deliver.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
because some things need to be kept in mind for these kind of events, and it's not obvious to everyone if you haven't worked in that environment, I think.
Yeah, I mean, my first job was working in events to do with colleges, further education colleges, and sixth form colleges. That obviously is not the same atmosphere at all, in terms of the content of the courses and the sensitivity I'm guessing that would be required.
Yes, exactly.
So you said already, Sol, that back in 2020 you were already thinking about wanting to make that shift to remote work. So you must have already had in mind the positive things that would come from working remotely. So now, 5, 6 years on, what would you say are the positive aspects of working remotely?
I think for me, the main positive aspect is being able to balance my work life and personal life better. Um, being able to have my work around my life and not my life around my work.
Yes, yeah.
That's important because when I was going to the office every day and I was getting up at 5 a.m. to be in the office at 8 and then coming back home at 7 p.m. I was like, I had to just bite to it and going to bed. And it just felt like, okay, this is it's my life into that. Comes the weekend, you're knackered because you had such a long week. So for me, the main advantage is that is being able to feel I have my life back. And my life is not just about work.
Yeah, I think so many people share your feelings on that, Sol, because when you're working remotely, there's that opportunity to put work in its place almost. It doesn't mean that you're not committed and that you don't get a lot done, but it's in its place and you can shape your life around it. But it doesn't have to take over. So
No,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. And that was part of the reason why even before you went remote, you were already thinking about it, I imagine then, that very
Yes,
intense
that was the
schedule
main
that
reason.
you had.
That
Yeah.
that was the main reason why I wanted to do it. And since then, I discovered other positive aspects, but that was really my main reason for it. And it is today my main positive aspect, even though
Yeah.
I discovered others.
Fantastic. Okay. What are some of the challenges, the negative sides of working remotely that you've had to face?
So it goes a bit against what I've just said, but in some ways, working remotely, and especially when you have your own business, it's sometimes hard to switch off. Um, I try to be very structured. I've got a room in at home which is dedicated for work. That's not my bedroom. It's not our lounge or anything like this. But it's still always in my mind, and it's my is my business. So I've got my emails on my phone and I keep an eye on them constantly.
Mm.
So it's that challenge of not being able to switch off sometimes can be a bit tiring and sometimes overwhelming. Not overwhelming, but yeah, needed a break sometimes. And I feel like,
Yeah.
oh, but this is a combination of remote and having your own business, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's that ability to dip into work, as often and as frequently and at any time of day as you like. But yeah, there's a danger that it takes over other things. And then, especially if you are the business owner, yeah, you have to take responsibility for your work. There's nobody else who's going to do it unless you do. And so, yeah.
Exactly. Yes,
Especially if you're
exactly.
passionate about what you do as well, and you enjoy
Mm,
your work, it can easily creep into other things. So yeah, I think pretty much everybody faces that working remotely and as a
yeah.
business owner. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd like to talk specifically now about the role of a virtual assistant because I think sometimes the role can be viewed perhaps too broadly. Perhaps I'd like to talk about that in terms of what is sometimes asked of you. Have you ever had a situation where you've had to say, "Oh, excuse me, that's not my job"?
I had a client that I had to say after thinking about it long and hard, actually I cannot do that. I can't complete that because I don't have um it's not it's not something I can do, it's not something I've trained for and it was fine. It went down fine. I think the person didn't even know themselves if it was something I was able to do or not. And at first, I wasn't certain even myself. So we took us a bit of time. I said, "Look, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to look into it." And
Yeah.
then I come back to it and say, "No, I think this is more app developers that you need rather than a virtual assistant here."
Okay. That's a different job for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be also open about what is being asked from you because virtual assistant, like you say, it's a very broad term.
Hmm.
Um, it doesn't really mean anything per se because you can assist anyone with anything.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah. So that's a really good example then, Sol, that you weren't afraid to say it's not possible. Because just like we said before, there can be that desire to say yes to everything. Yes, I can achieve anything from afar. It's okay, count on me. And then find yourself carrying out tasks that you're not qualified for, that you're not confident in, and that you can't develop work that you're subsequently proud of. And that would be awful. So it's that
yes.
putting those boundaries in place and saying no. Yeah. So working with your clients, and I'm sure there's a lot of different people involved in every event that you're organizing. What kind of personality traits makes it easier to work with somebody remotely on an event?
For me, the ideal person is someone who is very clear in articulating their expectation. So if I've got that very clear from the beginning, it make my work a lot easier. Um, this, clear communication, concise, and what do you want exactly from me? Um, and then I can work around you once I know that. But until then, and sometimes I don't have that answer, and it can be difficult for me to try and find, especially when it's remotely, because you don't have the communication cues, the hidden cues you've got when you're face to face. You don't have the body language, you don't have all those little things you will have when you're in a room with someone. So communication has to be really clear, even more so when it's remotely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the danger with a lack of communication is that as a remote worker, you can set off on a path that's not what the client wants at all, and time is wasted, energy is wasted, and you end up feeling really dejected when, yeah, a few more conversations, a bit more precision on what's going on could save you the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as you know, this is the Remotely Interested podcast about remote working, work life in general, and top tips to successfully work from anywhere. So, we've already covered those bases. Now, I'm going to reach for the Mosaic Gold plate for a surprise question. Okay, here we go. All wrapped up. I'm going to look the other way, pick one, and see what we have today. Oh, this might seem a bit intrusive. Let's see. But you can put this however you want, Sol. Okay. So the question is, if your inbox could talk, what would it say? It's quite abstract.
Well, that's a funny one. My inbox could talk. I think my inbox would be very happy with me, because I pride myself of having near to zero email in my inbox by the end
Wow.
of my day.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, it's a goal and an objective I've got, and it doesn't mean that everything has been done, but at least it's classified,
Right. So
and
you're
I
a
know
fan of
where
the
to find.
folders and the tabs and the labels.
Yes, yes,
Ah, yes.
yes.
You're a girl after my own heart, so yeah. Excellent. So zero in the inbox, but because it's classified then, how will it show up again? How will you make sure that it's
I
still
mean,
dealt with?
reminders when needed, or I put it as a task in my calendar. Um, it's never gone into space. It's never. It's somewhere here until it's absolutely done and dealt with. Um, but I don't want to leave them in the inbox because if it's in the inbox, it means that I haven't read it properly.
Right.
Um, when I read it and I know what I will do about it, then I can sort it. Uh, doesn't mean I have done what I need to do, but I know what I need to do about it. So there is a plan which has already been put in action, and the
Yeah.
process is starting.
So it's logged somewhere in terms of the task being achieved.
Yes, yeah.
I'm so glad you got that question, Sol, because I've learned something there. That is so great. Because yeah, I'm a stage behind you. I tend to leave things in the inbox until I've done them, even if I know perhaps there's another step that needs to be done and I'm writing those other steps somewhere else. But why not just write the task, as you say, in the schedule, as a task in the calendar, and then you're halfway there. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And
Okay.
when you've got it in your calendar popping out, it's got more a sense of urgency, and like you feel committed to it. While
Yeah.
an email in an inbox,
Yes, it's true because I don't have a lot in my inbox, I will say, but I have to keep reading it. So it's sat there, it's labeled, it's connected to a folder, but it's still in the inbox, and then I have to read it to remind myself, oh yes, that's why it's still in the inbox. It's because I'm waiting on somebody or whereas I really like your idea. Schedule it somewhere, put it as a task, and then it's still in mind, it's still going to be part of your schedule, but it's not sitting there. Because, yeah, I think I must be reading these messages sometimes 10, 15, 20 times. Because sometimes the wait is long.
exactly.
Fantastic.
Well,
Well,
you
my
know.
inboxes don't know what's coming to them later. I'm going to get straight back on my computer and tidy them up. Oh, fantastic. I'm so glad you got that question. It's really, really good. So, if anybody wants to get in touch with you to perhaps work on a project together or for advice, because you think you certainly have a lot to offer, where can they find you?
Well, they can go on my website, which is solvedbyyourside.com. And on there, you'll have all the links to my LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, everything, my email, loads of ways to get in touch with me.
Fantastic. So, for anybody watching who's considering a career as a virtual assistant and perhaps specialising in events. What advice would you give them, Sol, as your parting words?
Make sure to have a very good structure in place. Very good structure in place. Otherwise, you will go everywhere and nowhere. So,
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And it's those boundaries, like we said before, isn't it? Protecting your time, sometimes protecting your sanity, uh,
yes, yes.
just to get the job done, yes, but not at the expense of your own health or
No,
your own life. Yeah, like you said earlier.
no, it's not worth it.
I agree. Okay, Sol. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I've really enjoyed our chat, and
Thank
my
you. Thanks a
inboxes will
lot.
be changed forevermore from this day forth. So I'm very, very happy for
Excellent.
that bit of advice. Okay, so
Glad I
thank you
could
so
help.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, and hopefully see you soon.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Sol underscored the need to protect your scope, to say no when something is outside your skills, and to avoid taking on work you cannot do well. Online events now work especially well for learning and training, while face-to-face events are often more valuable for networking and connection. Remote events can reduce costs around venues, travel, food and accommodation, which is especially important for charities and non-profit organisations. So, if you're even remotely interested in remote working, I'll see you next time.